Izzy's got the questions. This is just for the listeners. Izzy is wearing a blue hat, a blue jumper, blue shorts, blue shoes,
And blue pants.
and a blue crop top.
I was going to say, look, as far as like having like specific tastes in colors, like I can't talk.
It brought this hat for me.
Yeah, I do like baby
Pink. I'm a big pink fan, so
It's pink or blue for me.
My little boy is gonna always be wearing shit like that.
okay. Poor guy has no choice. There you go. Out of the womb, zero choice.
I know. If Jan lets me do, I think that
Which she won't.
so he's got all these like cool little hats and shoes are in.
Oh, cute. That's cute. You better have gone from Kmart because he's going to outgrow him in like 2 days.
They're just cheap ones. That's what I'm just saying.
First
TV, you
question.
can get all these custom ones.
We're getting yelled at.
First question.
Episode 16, minute off. Let's hope we can stay to it. I don't even have a timer on. I'm just going to put my phone on. I'll do it. All right. Michael's got a bigger phone.
What role? Who's asking who?
I guess Michael can go first, receiving the question.
What role does mental health play in your physical fitness?
Oh, that's a good one.
I decide, what role does mental health play?
Receiving.
Never mind. I'll just redo this.
All right, let's do it again. Michael, what role does mental health play in your physical fitness?
It's a huge part of it. Like if I look at my checklist for feeling accomplished at the end of the day, I definitely need to have training in that, whether it's 30 minutes to an hour of training. It doesn't need to be 2 to 3 hours. It's a nice release. It's the endorphins, it's socializing with some friends. We're lucky where a lot of our friends and community train here, so we get that interaction on a daily basis. I actually don't know what I would do without it.
I always start thinking about, like, imagine what you would do if you didn't train. Like, what would you fill that time with?
With that spit, yeah, game. It'd be game.
It would have to be.
It would be an addiction that doesn't help me.
I have no idea. I literally thought about it for years. I was like, I probably spent more time in the gym than I've done anything else. I was like, I have no idea what I'd fill that time with.
Yeah.
Drugs and alcohol. There you go. That's so healthy.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. That was 54 seconds from Michael. That was a good start.
What's a common fitness myth you think needs to be debunked?
What's a common fitness myth you think needs to be debunked? Steroids is bad.
I think, well, man, there's so many.
You need a six-pack to be happy.
I would say that females desiring a six-pack being a goal, I think that's a myth that needs to be debunked. I feel like it's very dependent on genetics, both male and female. Like I know a lot of men, the six-packs in general. Six-packs don't define fitness. I'd say that Mac Fraser in his prime had a very poor six-pack. Even Patrick Vellner, one of the fittest CrossFit athletes out there, didn't have a six-pack. Like these are some of the fittest men like on earth, no abs. So I feel like having a six-pack being a definition of fitness is a poor thing because six-packs are made in the kitchen, not made in the gym.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on that, like it also doesn't mean a good coach. Like when I'm training more, I'm actually spending less time on my bikes.
Yeah.
So like when I am my fittest, I'm spending less time watching and reviewing client stuff, less time on their programs. So like my quality of service technically is less.
That's it. I always say to people, I'm like, you can't be a professional athlete and a coach at the same time. You pick one. You're either a good coach and an average athlete, or a great athlete and an average coach.
Yeah.
So it's making that choice is always a big hard thing from a lot of coaches because it is part of the job, being fit, being the role, right? Being the role. But yeah, I'd say biggest myth, having a six-pack, mainly for females, but also for males as well, as a definition of fitness.
It's with average athlete, some type.
There you go. So
Doing muscle ups.
I'm just, yeah. What if I'm below average, man?
What's your biggest fitness accomplishment so far, and what did it teach you?
Oh, Michael, it's a great question. Michael, what is your biggest fitness accomplishment so far, and what did it teach you? I'm pretty sure the listeners can even hear Izzy's voice anyway, so I don't think I should.
Yeah, they're good. It's fine to repeat. For me, probably the 100-kilo snatch. Mainly because it was something that avoided me for around about 4 years. And it's not something that naturally I could pick up because I did have some positional constraints. Like I didn't have great thoracic extension. I come from a throwing sport background. So for me, like it was rugby, cricket, baseball. So it's like I was naturally good at any throwing sports, which meant I was very tight through external rotation, thoracic extension. All right. So that was something that I just kind of had to work out without any real results for a long period of time. And then eventually I kind of broke through, and then it was from 100 to 118 in like less than 6 months.
Jeez. Yeah. It's always that funny. Like I always find those significant weights, especially for weightlifting, always have that dangling carrot. Like 2 blues on a bar for your first time for any lift is always traumatic versus if you had, a blue and 2 greens, you're like, oh, whatever. It's for whatever reason, having that big weights, the specific amounts, those like nice round numbers is always so intimidating. I feel like if you did 97.5, even 99 kilos, you would have got it way quicker.
Oh, yeah.
It's just for such a reason, it's so demoralizing. You see that weight on the bar, you're like, oh, God.
You almost just need to skip it.
Yeah.
Just go straight to 103.
I feel like that comes back to Michael's original question of like how much mental health plays in like the physical side of fitness, where like, yeah, you gotta really have the eye of the tiger for those big weight numbers, the ones that are like specific, like the 60 kilo, the 100 kilo, the 140 kilo, like all the blue upgrades. You just have to have that next like gear, otherwise you're not going to get it.
You just don't trust it. So you just trust that like if you turn up and you work on things, eventually you will get there. Like time is actually on your side. And everyone says we don't have enough time. We actually have a lot of time.
Yeah, that's right. Cool. I think that's that question done. That's 2 minutes. Thank God. We tried. All right. Minute on, minute off. That's 2 minutes per round, right?
Nailing it, Fran.
This is good.
What got you into the gym at the start? Very beginning.
Whoa.
All right, Ty, so back to the beginning for you. What got you into the gym? Was it a girl, a breakup?
Not at 12.
It's 12. That's an early starter.
That was an early starter. So I started gym at 12. I started AFL at 11. And the entire first season, I was benched. And I hated it. I was benched. I think I played 15 minutes out of the entire year. I don't know how many games in AFL there are per season, but there's a lot. I think there's 16. Yeah, 16. If you make it to the finals, then an additional 4, which we did. We won the grand final that year. And I played a total of 15 minutes the whole year. I think, and then when I was on, I did nothing. I sat down with the other team's
Hands in your pocket.
offense line because our team was so dominant. Like they just didn't even need me. So I was like very overweight. I had a range of issues, but my mind was set. Like I wanted to play footy, and I finally got the opportunity after begging my mum for years to let me play. Finally got the opportunity. So I wasn't going to let it slip. So the first year, kind of getting my feet, getting a feeling for it, enjoying the process. But after that first year, I was like, nah, fuck it. Like I need to get fitter. So I started with strength training first. I remember the first piece of home gym equipment I had, we actually have it here, is those little push-up devices that twist.
Oh, yeah.
The moving push-up thing. I use those every day. Between that and squatting, like I just body weight squats and whatever. Like I would start there, and then I transitioned to having a bit more free weights, machines. I had a bench press set up, and then I actually got a gym membership at like 13 to 14. So it was very early on, but it was because I did not make the cut for my team when I first started playing. So
negative created a positive.
That's it. That's it. Next question master.
There's sort of 2 parts. What role does gym culture play in your consistency? But I'm also going to say the unbound gym culture, like the specific gym culture here.
Okay.
What does that play in your training?
And then what was the second part to that?
No, that's
That's the whole question.
Unbound is
Alrighty. So what is the unbound gym culture, and how does that play a big role in your training and your consistency? I'm assuming that's the question.
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me, I mean, this kind of takes us back to when we picked the name for business. We were definitely playing in the space of trying to challenge social norms. So if it was, I mean, we've all been to a GP and we've all been like, or we've all done a scan and they're like, oh yeah, you're normal. and it's like, or your average, and yet that's what we set as the target. So we were like, okay, being able to walk 5K is like good. Where we were like, well, if that's good, why can't we push for better? So rather than us pushing for the odd 50%, like, why don't we just push for the 100%?
Yeah.
So for us, it's always been about getting more juice with a squeeze. It's always been, if I'm going to invest 30 minutes, because we always give people the low barrier. Like, we lowball. We're like, hey, you just do 25 minutes and then you're going to live a perfect life. As where it's like, but if you're doing 25 minutes, why wouldn't you just get a little bit extra? Like, you're spending all the time buying the shoes, getting the apparel, like, you're probably prepping yourself to go out for the then do the 25 minutes of training. Like, just do the hour.
Yeah.
Like, just get a little bit more out of your time that you're investing. And I don't think that's spoken about enough. And that was why we went for Unbound. Like, the whole point of the name Unbound is you're not bound by social norms. Because, like we said, like, everything's been brought down, where it's like, we know that when we say 10,000 steps is like the daily average, when they did the studies, it wasn't 10,000 that they came up with. Like, it was 15,000, but they were like, no one's going to do this. So let's bring it down to 10,000 and tell everyone that that's what a healthy person does.
Yeah. And that's funny because I had a conversation with Alan yesterday, and Alan was saying that when he joined the military at 17, they had a fitness test of 20 dead hang chin-ups as a something to get an A standard for the fitness in the military. Now, I know for a fact that is not even remotely a standard. That's actually a standard for special force entry, and it's only 7 reps, not 20. So the standard military, like the regular infantry back then, had way higher standards than the current infantry right now. So, and that's because, like you said, we've lowered that back.
Things easier, and someone needs to show people what can be done.
That's it. And I feel like with Unbound, the thing I've seen with the gym culture and the community is there's a lot of people, I'd say probably about 40 to 50% of the membership base train 6 days a week. Like, you see the same faces every day and they're always here. And that to me is like, wow, they're not bound by the social norms. Like 3 30-minute sessions.
They don't want to be average.
No.
Average is boring.
Yeah.
And the average person is not happy with themselves.
And that's probably why Unbound is intimidating to some, because it's like, wow, everyone here is good. And that's only because the ones who join and want to be as good as the rest see that and they're like, oh, I want to be as good as Billy. What does Billy do? He trains every day of the week. He trains 6 days of the week. He's always pushing hard. He's always like trying, doing new skills. He's not avoiding his weaknesses. I want to be like Billy. And then being like Billy, they get better faster. And then because there's better, you've got more to rise towards, rather than being the best in your gym and everyone else being under you. You don't have any challenge. And like, that's not how the world works. 99% of, I guess at 99.99% of all people will have someone that's better than them.
Yeah. And I mean, like, how are you going to get someone to be okay with learning a new skill when learning a skill starts with not knowing how to do the skill, which means you suck?
Yeah.
So you have to get good at anything, by definition, you need to start by sucking at the thing.
And you probably did at everything you're already good at now. It's just
They're not born and able to talk and walk. Like, you have to learn how to do these things. But yet, we're trying to make it so easy that people don't have a learning curve, when it's the learning curve itself that allows us to develop the behaviors to get the things we want.
Yeah, exactly. I like that question. That was a good one. Question master, next one.
How do you overcome plateaus?
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, Ty, how do you overcome plateaus?
This is a good question.
They tend to happen about 4 times a year for me.
I feel all year round.
Every season.
I'm in a permanent plateau. I would say it really depends on the type of plateau and why we're plateauing. If you're not plateauing, I guarantee you're not pushing hard enough, because plateauing means that you've hit a ceiling in a certain movement and you need to look outside the box to see where you need to improve. I love strength training because it's very linear and it's very simple. For all those knuckleheads out there, it's like, last week I did 100, this week I did 105, I am better. Simple. But that doesn't mean that increases in weights aren't the only thing to look out upon. A lot of the time, I find that even my strongest athletes never plateau. they technically always progress in some element of their training. So maybe they didn't get that new PR they were looking for.
The 1RM,
Yeah.
but they got the 3RM.
The 3RM or the 5RM, or maybe they did
They
their
moved the
1RM.
bar faster at 95%.
That's it. Or they did a pause this time instead of a touch and go rep. Like, there's so many elements to look at. But let's say, like, for argument's sake, the PR was what you mattered for and you didn't get it. Cool. There's another cycle for that. You know what I mean? Maybe your training wasn't specific enough for that particular movement. Maybe we haven't addressed your sticking point. Did you do everything that was programmed for you? Did you follow the intensity structure? Are you trying very hard with each session? Are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? How is your stress levels? Is your relationships good? Like, man, most of it comes outside of the actual program, which is funny. When I look at myself and some of the plateaus I've hit, all I think about is, okay, my deadlift is plateaued, but my bench and my squat are improving. I'm not even mad. Cool. I can stick it at that. Like, maybe I'll look back, I'll be like, wow, my deadlift progressed really quickly in a short amount of time. And it did. I put on 15 kilos this year. And I'm like, well, I haven't put any weight on it now, and it's getting really challenging. It's because I'm not used to that new weight now. I've got to spend some time with those heavier percentages and heavy weights, get myself conditioned, or look at where I'm weak now. For me, I'm like, wow, my back's really weak in the deadlift. Now I'm going to do some stiff legged to help me improve my back strength, more reverse hypers, that kind of thing. So I think when we look at plateauing, we get fixated on that one point, which is the movement, the 1RM, I can't do a muscle up.
We also expect the same amount of effort is now going to give us a greater reward, as where the reward is now going to require an increase in effort. So it's like the effort required to get to 200 is not the same effort required to get to 260.
Yeah.
But yet we don't want to change our input, but we want to change on the output.
That's it. I think his strength coach says it really well, where like, okay, let's say to get to 200, you do your squat, you do your accessory lift, which might be, I don't know, Romanian deadlift. You then do some auxiliary movements. You do some like leg extensions, hamstring curls, maybe some barbell hip thrusts or some glute kickbacks or whatever, right? To improve your squat. But you get to that 260 range where you're trying to get to 260. And now every squat session is more fatiguing. The weights are heavier. It takes you longer to warm up. You have more of a rehab and mobility routine. So now instead of doing all those other movements, you're just doing back squat, leg extension, session over. So he programs his strongest athletes, the main movement and an accessory, and that's it. And it's because the time it takes for them to perform a session is way greater than the time it takes a average or novice athlete to perform their session. And like you said, the demands are now different. Now it's central nervous system fatigue you're more concerned about. It's recovery you're more concerned about. It's intensity you're more concerned about. Technique is way more important because the weight's way heavier. So plateauing is very normal. I'd say first things first, look back, see where you came from. Maybe during the cycle you had some progressions, and then that should tell you that you are actually better than you currently are, and you're not plateaued. You just struggled to get that 1RM on the day. And then secondly, if that lift is just not moving for whatever reason, look why. Am I weak in X, Y, and Z? Is this area an area that I'm struggling with? Have I been focusing on all the accessories? Have I been trying very hard? Or am I needing some guidance? That's where you get a coach or someone who's going to be an accountability training partner that will help you.
One thing I'll add is if you also get advice on what is required to achieve what you want, but you're not willing to do it, then that's when you change.
Yeah.
So have the conversation with a professional, get an idea of what people are actually doing to have those things. So the person who has the 250 squat, how many days are they training? What's their sleep like? What's their food like? If you're not willing to do those things, then that's where you might need to have the conversation of, okay, maybe the 250 back squat isn't for me.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. I'm not willing to make that sacrifice. Cool. That's a good question.
5 minutes.
That's all right. 5 minutes is plenty.
I will wish
How many more?
it's been 21.
Oh my God. How many we
Let's
done?
leave it there.
One question.
Double question.
Michael, what values guide your decisions and actions in reading?
Oh my God. This is okay. One last, so we should be done there. This is going to take us way too long. All right. Last the question. This is our final question. I don't even know if this is 10 at this point, but we'll just call it there because
This is a fuck question.
this is a good one. Michael, what values do you have that guide your decisions day to day?
I'm not going to be able to answer this in a minute. If I can shorten this,
Let's start with what are your values?
for me,
Yeah, even three. Just name three.
being a good person.
Well, he's already failed about one. I'm kidding. Should interrupt.
And the challenge thing with that is sometimes being a good person, you guys hear me say this all the time, the toxic compassion analogy, requires you to not necessarily say the thing that makes you feel good in the moment.
Yeah.
So sometimes helping someone means you have to say the thing that no one else is saying, which means you will come across as
Have a hard conversation because you inadvertently want the good out of it. Okay. Like I said, define good as well.
And I mean, I suppose I cop that a lot. You guys joke about it. You're like, oh, you have no empathy or you have no heart. But I think the biggest thing for me is like I feel the same as everyone else. I just try and think ahead. So like, I'm like, okay, if I act this way in this scenario, what outcome do we get? And is it the outcome that I want? And is it the outcome that the other person wants or needs? And then that will influence the way I interact in that scenario. For me, it's always like I talk about success. Success isn't something that I just want for me. Like if I'm like, I don't pursue money. I just work a lot because I enjoy working. So I get a dopamine effect working the same way I would if I went to a festival. Like it's not, I don't wake up every day and be like, fuck, I gotta go work. Like, I'm like, all right, cool, I get to go play.
Yeah, I feel like that's me as well. I feel like I've had a lot of jobs over the years where it has been the opposite, where it's like, fucked. That call in sick today, I look at my sick leave, I've got 0.32 hours. Would that be enough? I don't know. Like, you know, where it's
Every time you get a week, you take it.
that's it. It's not like that anymore, but it's like, for me, it's like, it's less about waking up and going to work and waking up and I'm like, I've got these tasks I need to complete.
Yeah. And we have to just manage the addiction. So that's where it is. Like we always talk about trade-offs. Like that is almost an addiction. Like we enjoy being at work. We enjoy growing things. We enjoy improving. We enjoy helping other people, but it can't come at the cost of our outside life.
And which it does. It normally does. Tamara always tells me that I overfill my cup. She's like, your cup is blowing. It's so overfilled. She's like, you need to fill your own cup sometimes. And I'm like, fuck.
But some people work like that. Like some people will just fill and fill and fill until they overflow and then they draw back.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have a plan. Like, and you can't plan everything. Like you also need to be flexible.
That's it.
So sometimes when things don't go your way, that's fine.
So be a good person. That's number one. What did you say number two is?
Reliable. Something that I try and work on a lot because reliable can be hard because things come up and you have responsibilities. And sometimes you're reliable to one party at the cost of the other party. So you can't always be there. You can't always be in two places. You can't be in two places at once.
Yeah, and that's a hard one. That's a good one. I would say, like, for me, reliable means that just because there's a better option means you don't change your first option.
Yeah.
So if Michael asked me, hey, can you come and, clean this bin out? Cool. And I said, yes, Michael, I'll go do that. And then Tracy asked me, hey, can you clean the floor downstairs? Like, I will do in my priority order what Michael says first versus what Tracy says, not because of a hierarchy or anything like that, because that's what I accepted first. Same works as going out with friends. Like one group of friends asked me to come out, or one friend asked me to come out and hang out with them. Someone else asked me to hang out. Even I've done this to my own partner where my brother's like, hey, come shave a beard this time. I've agreed to it. My partner wants me to hang out with her this time. And I have to be like, hey, sorry, I've already accepted this first thing. And it's not because I'm choosing my brother over my partner. Like I would always choose Tamara over anyone.
It just happened first.
But as I said, like I can't, like my morals is like that too. I can't turn person A down for person B, even if the option is way better. I'm like, sorry, like I've accepted this person. I have a right and responsibility to go fulfill that contract. Because that's the whole thing of like, hey, you want to train at 5 a.m.? Yeah, bro. You show up at 5 a.m. I'm still asleep. You're like, oh, fuck this guy. You know what I mean? So I like that one. Reliable's good.
Yeah, and I think it ties in with loyalty as well. Like, I like the fact that if someone asks me something and they could walk away from that conversation and they just know it's going to get done. Like, there's no fear where, like, fuck, do I have to micromanage? Do I have to follow up? Do I have to do this? Like, that's where I want to be. Where if someone goes, hey, I need this done, like, there's just enough trust there to know that it'll get done, that it'll get sorted.
That's a hard one too. I reckon that kind of coincides with reliability too, where, like, for you, like, you can't be in two places at once. So then it's like being careful of accepting too much.
Your limit becomes time.
Yeah.
And there is a point where you will be reliable, but then you will run out of time to be reliable for everyone.
Yeah. And that's what it is. Like some of my biggest quotes I always say, just in general, when I am overwhelmed like that, when I've got too many things in the bucket and I'm like trying to do too much at once, and I'll say like, hey, you're asking too much of me. I don't normally say it very often, but when I'm like, hey, like I've got too much on, like
I think I've said it to me once.
yeah, I'm like, I can't add this to my bucket as well as all this other stuff.
Yeah, Diana says it to me all the time. She's like, you just add, right? Your task list will be huge and you just add another one.
That's which sometimes, like this week is a good example. I've actually, like, I came in yesterday, I had a clients booked in at awkward times. I got all the work done I was supposed to do today. So now I'm ahead. And then today I came and did the work I was supposed to do tomorrow. I was like, hell yeah, this is good. This is a good feeling. But next week, it might be the opposite, where on the Wednesday, I'm like super chill. I'm like, okay, day's cool. I don't have to worry about it. Come in Thursday, do what I normally do on Thursday. And then out of nowhere, Michael's like, this task. Then someone else is like, I want to move my PT to this time. And like my whole day is structure is just destroyed. And then it's Saturday afternoon and I'm like, I'm so behind.
And that ties into my third one, is to still try and be flexible at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like I think being flexible is a huge skill.
Yeah.
Like, because it ties with being adaptable.
Yeah.
Where if things don't go, we talk about the coffee, if things don't go your way or something does change, you can still operate at a high level.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like everything implodes.
I think to add to that too, like with the flexibility is understanding some patience in a lot of senses, where like, let's say in your life, like you've got 4 or 5 bills that come up all at the one point. Surely everyone's experienced this, where you're just so overwhelmed. And in a relationship, you've got 2 people, hopefully your finances are combined in this situation. But even if they're not, it doesn't matter. Like the stress is still the same. You got 5 bills that are all pending. They have to be paid by the end of the week. And you've got all your normal life expenses on top of that. And I feel like for me, in those situations with the flexibility, applying patience as well, where you're the person that doesn't overreact by emotion and just sits back and is like, hey, we're going to get through this. It's going to be okay. And I feel like that's part of the flexibility, is knowing when to panic and knowing when to not. Like,
and also understanding that 2 realities can be true at once. So like, that's part of where I say about being flexible. Like, I'm going to call you out yet, but
okay.
A classic one is like Tyler and I had a hard conversation and Tyler brought something up and he said, I gave him a task like last minute. And I was like, fuck, like I hate when I give someone a task last minute. I'll go back over things. And I went back over that and it was 2 weeks before he perceived it to be given to him. And I had to have the conversation with myself where I was like, but all his decisions he made were still based on that reality. So everything that followed was based on the fact that he felt like that task was last minute, even though technically it might not have been.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets tricky, where it's like, there is reality and then there's also someone's perception of reality, and both are going to influence emotions and decisions.
Yeah.
And like, that's where that flexibility needs to come in. Like, you still need to be able to address that situation, like you said, in a productive way.
Yeah.
Rather than just being like, nah, you're a liar, you're talking shit.
Yeah. Or panicking as well. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't really mean to put it on you at last minute. Then it makes me anxious. Like, I can't get this done now. You know, like, and that's the thing. It's
like you wouldn't even know that story.
No.
Like, but that's part of like the management side of things, where it's like, I've got to try and work on that, where it's like, okay, well, that's still his reality.
Yeah.
Like, so it's going to still affect his day. It's going to affect his decisions. It's going to affect his productivity. How do we improve this whole scenario?
That's
rather than just me being like, I'm right, you're wrong.
That's like what I mean with like the like when you have all those tasks on, 1 week goes really well, 1 week doesn't. There's those weeks that don't, where there's those unforeseen things, or maybe the things you've forgotten about that have crept back up on you, and you're like, I haven't planned for this. Like, there's so much going on, and you get it done. It's like the last minute assignment thing. You get it done, but it's like, fuck, the amount of energy I expended to get to that point was
it takes it out of you.
And that's like, damn, that's hard. That's what I mean with like the financial side of things. Like, you need, if you have a partnership or like, you know, even in the workplace, you need to make sure that at least someone's not panicking in those situations. Someone has level-headed thinking, even if you're internally like, holy fuck, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. Like,
yeah.
But externally, you need to be like the one that's calm. And that gets us, it's like a leadership thing, right? A leadership quality is being calm when faced with adversity.
You normally need to be the opposite. Yeah. So if someone's angry, you can't be angry.
Yeah.
If 2 people are angry are just trying to make themselves feel better.
Or if someone has to be right.
Yeah, that doesn't solve anything.
No. I think that's probably the shortest answer yet, right?
That's about 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
That was a stitch-up question.
That was, I knew that was going to
I know the answer one.
There you go. Well, you got 10 minutes of an answer. That's going to cover off episode 16, Minute on Minute Off, number 5. That's our 5th version of Minute on Minute Off. So that's a lot of them. They've actually been quite popular. If you guys have any specific questions you would like to ask us, you can come and ask us in person or message Unbound Athletic with your personal questions. We'll be back next week on our episode 17 podcast, wherever you view your podcast, YouTube, Spotify, whatever. We'll catch you guys then.
Give us a like, give us a follow.